I am Thurgood Marshall. I was born July 2nd, 1908 in Baltimore, Maryland. A child born to a black mother in a state like Mississippi has exactly the same rights as a white baby born to the wealthiest person in the United States. It's not true, but I challenge anyone to say it is not a goal worth working for. I attended high school at Baltimore's Colored High and Training School, where I was an honor student and an active member of the debate team. I graduated in the class of 1926, and the next year I attended Lincoln University, with big names like Langston Hughes and the future president of Ghana. I graduated from there with honors and tried to apply to the University of Maryland Law School, but was rejected for the color of my skin. I would end up going to Howard University instead, where I would fall under the wing of the dean, Charles Houston. He would not be satisfied until he went to a dance on the campus and saw all of his students sitting around the wall reading law books instead of partying. I graduated from there with great honor in 1934. After graduating, I tried to start my own law firm in Maryland, but I didn't have any law experience, so I didn't land any super significant cases. Due to this, in 1934, I joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which is where me and my old mentor, Mr. Houston, would get what would be my first big case. The case would be called Murray versus Pearson, and the issue was that Mr. Murray was not being accepted into the University of Maryland due to the color of his skin. The case that we of course won would be the start of a slew of court cases working to end segregation. After that, I moved to New York and became a full-time lawyer for the NAACP, where I would work cases to end forms of legal discrimination and segregation. Some of my bigger cases came around this time, such as Chambers versus Florida, which was my first win in front of the Supreme Court in 1940. Following that case, in 1944, I had another Supreme Court win that established that the Democrat Party in some southern states could not keep people of color from voting in primary elections. In 1954, one of my most significant court cases would take place, Brown versus Board of Education. On May 17, 1954, the unanimous ruling from the Supreme Court would overturn the case Plessy versus Ferguson that established separate but equal, and in doing so would start the desegregation of public schools. This case is one of my proudest achievements because it actively worked against federally accepted segregation and sparked the civil rights movement. Following this case, our president, John F. Kennedy, appointed me to be a judge on the U.S. Circuit Court, and during my time, none of my decisions were overturned by the Supreme Court. Not too long after, in 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed me to serve as the U.S. Solicitor General, which is right below the Attorney General, and when I was the first African American to hold that position. After 2 years of being Solicitor General, President Johnson nominated me to be a Supreme Court Justice, and on October 2nd, 1967, I was sworn in and was the first African American to hold that position. When I started, I was serving with a majority of liberals, but over time, through different presidents, I became a minority, and the things that I had initially worked toward were now being worked against. What's wrong with me? I'm getting old. I'm getting old and coming apart, I said before retiring. So, after serving for 24 years, I retired in 1991 at the ripe age of 83.